How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And there they were, the cul-de-sac commando right there in that disclaimer. And Beto the fruitcake. I had to put that guy's fruit salad, shall we say, tip of the hat to him. And really, one of the big stories for the day is Hunter Biden convicted on 3 felony gun charges, 3 federal violations of gun laws. And really, folks, it's a sham. It is a sham. It is a sham. It is a sham. Sham wow? Get your questions and comments in. It's a Taco Tuesday for me. And folks, I'm not taking any of this in stride. It's really pretty ridiculous. So no one is cutting Hunter, the Bidens, the Democrats, Washington, D.C., the liberal BS media, the left-wing leaning lunatic agenda. No one's cutting him any slack. So this is Trump's official release, right? This trial has been nothing more than a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden crime family, which has raked in tens of millions of dollars from China, Russia, and Ukraine. Crooked Joe Biden's reign over the Biden family criminal empire is all coming to an end on November 5th, and never again will a Biden sell government access for personal profit. Folks, that sounds like something you would say about the mob, a crime family. President Trump is talking about President Biden and his crime family, a crime family that is operated out of Washington, D.C., the U.S. Senate, the White House as VP, and the White House as president. The world is waking up. Marine Le Pen, who has won her election in France, right, has said that Emmanuel Macron, who lately it's been exposed that the woman he married, who is old enough to be his mother, is actually a man, allegedly, from a preposterous, awful wig to the smile and face. Looks just like a guy that had something to do with Emmanuel Macron waking up. Kind of explains why Macron and, that's right, Justin Turdhole in Canada, their prime minister, are so fond of kissing each other. Way more than you'd like. Now, back to the Bidens, right? They're not the only crime family that's being pointed at and said, you're going to be arrested. Trump should have made good on his promise. He should have and arrested Hillary and thrown her in jail and charged her with crimes. Instead, we had what? Who is that little weasel? Senator Ding Dong, who was the first attorney general under Trump. What was his name? Oh, yeah, Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sellout Sessions, followed by Raymond Burr. No, wait a minute. It wasn't Raymond Burr. It was Bob Barr. Looks like he's been at the bar eating forever. Folks, anyways, nobody's buying this shit. Other American organizations, folks, are screaming at the top of their lungs that the Bidens are a crime family syndicate and that this is just a BS distraction to make the justice system appear like it's operating normally. See, Hunter, he got convicted, right? All this is Hunter hush conviction to the mainstream media, to newspapers, the FBI, who lied about the laptop, the lost data, refused to release data on the Bidens, redacted everything that they did bring in, and refused to obey subpoenas regarding the Bidens. Right? They carried and pushed and threw and cajoled and lied about Russian disinformation. Oh, folks, the Bidens, they've shaken down Russia, China. Ukraine is a money laundering operation. The world sees it, the world knows it, and the world is sick of it. Sick of it. Oh, man, what a day. I'm fired up on this Taco Tuesday. I'm also fully prepared. I've got food, a lot of it. I've got water, more than I can drink. Shelter, bunker. Right? Clothing, medicine. That's right. I've got medicine, whether they like it or not. I've got what? HCQ, ivermectin. I've got all the good stuff, antibiotics. I've got whatever it takes. All legal, all lawful. Plus, I have self-defense, folks. And I want to, while we're talking self-defense, and you are allowed to get your questions down below, man, we'll pick them up and set them aside for the second half of the show when we talk about your thoughts, your questions. But I think Joe Biden did do one thing. One thing, folks. He said one thing that makes sense, and I think bears repeating. I think it's very important that you follow what Joe Biden said with respect to self-defense. Remember when he said, you don't need an AR-15? I disagree with that. You need a shotgun. Get yourself a shotgun. I agree with Joe Biden. Get yourself a shotgun, preferably a repeating shotgun. I mean, if you want a boomstick, a double barrel coach gun, that's cool. That's cool. But my recommendation is you get a shotgun. You get a 12 gauge if you can handle it. Otherwise, get a 16 or a 20. Get a pump or automatic if at all possible. The reason I say that is because we have learned now that drones, everyday drones, are not just being used for surveillance, which is what I suggested for SHTF when it gets nasty out, but for protection from the government. Drones are being used to kill people. They're perfecting the technique of killing people, Americans, the enemy with drones. See, a drone can carry quite a bit of weight. It can carry a grenade or a shape directional charge to fly down and drop an explosive on you. Shotgun can reach out and take a drone out. I used to say, get buckshot. I love buckshot, folks. But I'm thinking now I recommend number 2, duck loads. If you see a drone in SHTF, shoot it down. Unless you know who it is that is flying it. Because if it's the government and it's nasty out, they could send that drone down to, at the very least, spy on you. Or frag your ass. Get a shotgun. Thank you, Joe Biden. Whew, I'm just telling you, folks, what a day. What a day. The left. Now, I've talked about, let's see, Bill Maher. He's got his show. He's a left-wing lunatic, right? But he makes sense every now and then. And then there's the on YouTube, Jimmy Dore, D-O-R-E, very much a socialist, but he thinks his conclusions are fucking screwy. He's not using critical thinking, but he points out the errors and faults, which I find commendable of the Democrats. Right. Other than those two, I think the entire media system is absolutely retarded. They don't see what's going on. And I'm going to cite CBS's Margaret the Dingbat Brennan, who seems to be dumbfounded that 62%, folks, a huge majority, almost a super majority. 62% means that includes, if you counted every Republican, it still includes another 12% of Democrats. 62% show huge support for deporting people out of the country. Get them the hell out of here if they're not Americans. Folks, the mainstream media has no clue how unwanted, unloved, and stupid the mainstream media is. They also have no clue how unwanted, unloved the unwashed illegals are. The crimes they're committing now, folks, it's not just a little bit. It's acute, it's chronic, it's off the hook, it's nasty, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, folks. There we go. And this is how I wanted to prove to you it's getting worse. Biden, right? You've heard of the jihad squad in Congress, right? Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, whatever the hell her name is, that bald bitch, AOC, those bunches, right? Well, Biden has his own jihadi squad, or squads, that are in the USA, folks. 6 suspected terrorists with ISIS ties, folks, have been arrested in New York, Los Angeles, and Philly, folks, the city of brotherly love, the city of rainbow monkeypox brotherly love. Anyways, those 3 cities, they've caught 6. 6. And the top one of them, folks, was actually caught at the southern border and then released. He was previously caught and they let him go. Well, I guess they identified him again and said, maybe we ought to, I don't know, they've arrested him. I wonder if what are they going to do with these 6 ISIS-connected terrorists? 6 out of 10 million, 12 million, 15 million people? Do you think there's more than 6? Or do you think Joe Biden and his salad-tossing fruitcake FBI have caught every single one of them? That's right, they caught the last 6 terrorists. We're all safe now. Folks, the woke, idiotic, left-wing mental munchkins, they're taking us down the primrose path to hell. And they're skipping and singing the whole way. And it's not going to get any better soon. I think we're all going to have to pay the price. Ultimately. So, let's take a look more at the mainstream media, if we shall. Rachel Mad Cow Maddow. Rachel Mad Cow. And she looks kind of like a mad cow. She appears to be a conspiracy theorist because she is referring to something with, well, no truth in it, right? She fear porns all of her Democrat viewers, which is probably 60, 65 people. She is on TV accusing Trump of wanting to send her to concentration camps. Well, we already know that Rachel Mad Cow is not capable of being re-educated, even if she wanted to. And I'm not a proponent of sending people to concentration camps. I'm a proponent of sending communists to communist countries so they can live the dream. I'm a proponent of sending socialists to socialist countries because I'm a proponent of letting them live their dream. I think America should make the investment on sending these people out to their dreams. Fascists, people that love fascism, send them to a fascist country where they can live their dream and get them the hell out of America. Terrorists, you want to be terrorists? We'll send you to a terrorist country. You can live the dream. All of you queers for Palestine, off you go, right? And that's the same thing they'll say to you when they get you at the top of the tallest building in Riyadh. They'll just take you and throw you head first and go, off you go. Wow. So, concentration camp, I don't want them in America. Prison camps for criminals who have been, accused of treason, arraigned for treason, tried for treason, and if they are found convicted of treason, sentenced to either a short drop and a quick stop or some prison time for the next 50 to 75,000 years. Anyways, folks, what's important about Rachel Mad Cow Maddow is that she, like all Democrats, always, and that is a superlative I'm going to use, they always project what they are trying to do by accusing Trump of what they think he's going to do. It's crazy, folks. That's the mainstream media pushing and pushing and pushing, including, folks, Joy Reid. Joy Reid, once again, brilliant. Oh, by the way, Joy Reid of MSNBC, and she also has been a very bad person. She is appropriating my culture. She happens to be a black woman, but she has bleached, straightened white people hair. So she is a very bad person for appropriating my culture. I feel insulted. I feel triggered. What else? I think I deserve reparations from her. What else do I get, man? I'm trying to play the victim card here. Anyways, Joy Reid says Samuel Alito, Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, wants an American ethno-state. He wants to segregate America. Did you know that? I remember hearing Justice Alito say that just 2 days ago. No, wait a minute. No, I did not. It was last week. No, not last week. It was never have I heard him or read that he said that. Never. I believe it's the racist Democrat blacks who have been screaming for black segregation from the evil white folks. That's what I think I've heard when it comes to segregation. Ooh, man, have you heard any Supreme Court justices, regardless of gender or age or race or melanin, have any of them called for segregation? He's giving me the chin. Nope. There it is. There it is. What a day. What a day. And now let's do the Pfizer files. Enchanting. I guess that's the name of a some kind of entertainer. Anyways, age 26 had a heart attack. She's in intensive care, fighting for her life. Her sister confirmed today. The song Want Some, the hit, right? She was reported dead. Several online outlets got it wrong, but her sister, KJ, went on Facebook to correct everything. Crazy, huh? Rising music star, enchanting. That's a verb. That'd be like me going, yeah, my name is crapping. No, that's what you do. Enchanting is what you are. Anyways, cardiac arrest, heart attack, hospital, age 26. Yep. Take a wild guess. Just give it a shot. Take a wild guess. I don't think you need to take a wild guess anymore. Look, I know a lot of people have heart attacks. I know people die. I know there's complications. I know sometimes it's very suddenly. Just suddenly. Suddenly it happened. And speaking of suddenly, Democrat Senator from Pennsylvania, John Uncle Fester Fetterman, and his wife got in a car crash because recently John Fetterman started to think, and he started Well, he started talking. So now there is a lot of speculation, folks, and it's speculation. It's not a conspiracy theory because he's not dead and assassinated, but it's speculated that this was an attempted assassination or maybe an attempt to cause more brain damage to John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, because it's healed enough, his brain that is, that he has been stating Democrat policies are failing or Democrat policies are just wrong. So it's interesting that we know, folks, Senator John Fetterman has brain damage. It's been proven medically he has brain damage, but he is smart enough with brain damage to know that Democrat policies don't work. Isn't that fascinating? That people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Oops, I crapped my pants Pelosi how damaged are their brains that they can't see what it is they're doing doesn't work? And I'm not talking about their attempts to destroy America. That is working. I'm talking about their social programs, their spending programs, their economic programs. They're freaking retarded. And even brain damaged John Fetterman knows it. What does that tell you about Representative Cori Bush or Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? How many of you, right, show of hands, how many of you listened to what she had to say about a ceasefire? Do you know what that was? Did you hear her ceasefire comments? Ooh, man, I think I sent it to you. And you suffered an aneurysm or you had a conniption fit. Man had to go to the hospital. He almost, allegedly. A ceasefire means you see fire and you put it out. And that's why they call it a cease. Anyways, these people are that stupid, folks. And it's funny that even with brain damage, John Fetterman can keep up with the most stupid and dangerous amongst the Democrat Party and point out how wrong they are. By the way, if it was an assassination attempt, Hillary said she has an alibi. But there's still something out there about Seth Rich, who's still dead, who was murdered. I wonder how many times Seth Rich has voted since he was killed. Unexpectedly, suddenly, before the Jim Jones juice, before COVID. Yeah, he suddenly died. Anyways, I'm having too much fun with this, folks. Too much fun. Crazy. Oh, and you want Rich? Not speaking of Seth Rich, just comedic, satirical Rich. Biden today, guess where he was at? Biden was at an anti-gun fundraiser, campaign stop, meeting, luncheon. And he recalled a bullshit story about going through the wetlands of Delaware and telling armed fishermen he wants to ban their guns. I see many wrong things with this story. Once again, he lies and just fabricates a bunch of shit. The mainstream media is not going to cover it, folks. Going through the wetlands of Delaware, and he just, I guess just Biden just thought, you know what? I'm bored with Congress. I'm bored with the Senate. I'm bored being a vice president. I'm just going to go for a walk through the wetlands. And if I see a fisherman with a fishing pole is what fishermen use. And I'm going to tell fishermen as I'm taking a walk through the wetlands while I'm not in Congress shaking people down and fucking them over, I'm going to tell them I'm going to ban your guns. Does that make a lick of sense? No. Most fishermen, especially back when he's referring to, did not carry guns while they're fishing. You know, it's only been in the last couple of years that people have decided they don't want to get eaten by a mountain lion, a bear, or Bigfoot, or get raped by a radical, crazy jihadi or some Democrat Fruit Loop who thinks it's cute and it's his right to rape people. Oh, folks, they're screwed in the head. You should hear the things they say. Anyways. So, all while Hunter is being tried and found guilty of felony gun violations, right? Being completely irresponsible with guns, lying about guns. His dad is in an anti-gun fundraiser. If anyone should not have guns, it's Democrats because they're morons. But a bigger question has arisen. Will Hunter be prosecuted for sex trafficking now? It's obvious that he's trafficked women, that he's prostituted women, and more than likely underage women as well. Now that we know that the information that came off the laptop is real, the pictures of Hunter Biden on the laptop are real, of him smoking crack, snorting cocaine off of hookers' asses, and that's not an exaggeration, right? Weighing drugs, arguing with a hooker the value of those drugs, speeding while under the influence of radical drugs, right? Shaking down business people from China to Russia and everywhere in between. There's some speculation out there, by the way, that, Biden said he is not going to pardon Hunter. I believe him. Because his poll numbers are so bad now. Democrats are openly saying you need to step down. You need to step down. It is now time. You can't win. You need to step down and let someone else take a crack at Trump. So he steps down. Let's just say next month. Maybe the month after, 2 months before the election, he resigns. He's like, I'm Joe Biden. I just need to resign. And Kamala Harris will be your president for a few months. The first female president who thinks she's black will be president for 4, maybe 5 months. She can pardon Hunter, and she can also pardon Joe Biden. But I have a question. Can she do a blanket pardon? Is that possible? Is that legal? Can she say, Joe Biden, I hereby pardon you with the power of the presidency and my camel toe. I pardon you for all crimes you ever committed, whether you knew it or not, or whether anyone has any evidence or not. Or does she have to name the crimes that he has committed and pardon him for that, even though he hasn't been arrested, arraigned, and tried for them? Got some stuff, folks. But speaking of hardcore criminals, in the state of Washington, those 3 young teens have been charged with felony vandalism, folks, because they left black marks on some paint. They can't go out and wash the paint off. The same way that when a radical left-wing screwball throws red paint or any paint or a bucket of shit and feces at a work of art in a museum. Good thing they cover artwork now. They're going to charge these kids with felony vandalism for leaving black tire marks on an LGBT pride mural. And they could face up to a decade in prison. These are teens playing with toys, and they're calling it felonies. Did the boys have the intent of committing a crime? Remember, you have to have intent. Or did the boys even understand? Did they have an understanding of the law that the paint on the ground where they ride their scooters is now a work of beautiful butt pirate art. And therefore, they shouldn't ride on it, because if they were to accidentally put some marks on it, they could be charged with a crime. In other words, they didn't have intent. They didn't have an understanding of the law. And they are minors. If there's a crime here, where's the injured party? Where's the damaged property? Are they going to capture birds and put them in prison for crapping on this thing? It's the road. It is not property. It's a road. It is the ground. And it's in public. So it's meant to be walked on, rode on, driven across. Hey, go ahead. Burn cars. Burn businesses. Loot stores. Assault cops. Burn police cars. Burn police stations. Launch explosive fireworks at cops. No problem. You dare ride your little kid scooter as a kid across the homosexuals' pride, you're going to jail for 10 fucking years. Just crazy, folks. Crazy. You know how you fix crazy? You eliminate it. You know how you defeat an enemy? You eliminate them. What happens when you don't eliminate an enemy? They come back. And they keep coming back. And then they come back again. The way you win a war is you defeat the enemy by eliminating them. You decide what elimination means. To some people, it means taking a crap. That's if you're a physician and you understand the difference between a front hole and a back hole. What a bunch of assholes those people are. Front hole. Women, have you gone out and gone pee, and make sure you use toilet paper on your front hole? That's fucking insulting. Anyways, these fruitcakes, folks, they need to be eliminated. That's why they used to stay in the closet. They had their own little world in the closet. They came out of the closet and showed us what a bunch of freaks they are and the filth that they do. Unbelievable. And now we can't get them back in the closet. And folks, if anyone's committing genocide, it's them genociding themselves and mutilating themselves and harming themselves and upsetting themselves. They can't get enough attention now that they're out of the closet, so they scream for it. From flaming, screaming, to public displays of the gravest of ignorance. Remember dildo rainbow butt plug monkey. Remember that, man? Rainbow dildo butt plug monkey? A male, I think he was a male, freak in England went to go read children's stories dressed as rainbow dildo butt plug monkey. And I think that was 2 years ago. I'll tell you what, it's time for your guys' questions. Let's do the inner circle. Woo! Alrighty then, Mr. Uman, you say we've got some great questions, comments, thoughts. Let's hear it. Let's do it. And it's chin music. He says, John, the media is not covering the fact that Joe Alfred E. Newman Biden flew home from France before he flies back to Europe this week. Something is up. No way they create a logistical nightmare unless they had to. By logistical nightmare, what Chin Music's talking about is when the president goes anywhere, it's not just Joe Biden getting on American Airlines. Let's keep it patriotic, huh? He doesn't just get on an American Airlines and fly somewhere. They get Air Force One. They clear all the traffic out of the way so he can take off and land and fly wherever the hell he's flying. And then there's, I think, a Galaxy C5, the largest U.S. military transport plane. I think it's only second to Russia's enormous freaking transport plane. And I mean, this thing is so big it can carry tanks, folks, M1A1 Abrams tanks. So they get a C5 Galaxy and they load it up full of all of the presidential vehicles and escort vehicles and decoy vehicles, and they fly it wherever he's flying. Plus all the other planes to carry staff, equipment, Joe Biden's brain in a jar. That's right, they managed to find it. Anyways, something's up. Yeah, he flew all the way to Europe for D-Day just to insult everyone and crap his pants, literally. Flies all the way back. Then he was down, and he had a lot of speeches to give today. Apparently, he's able to come out of his basement to go get more money. And then, whoa, shit, well, Hunter's guilty. He's got to leave for that, and he's going to fly back to Europe. No way they create a logistical nightmare unless they had to do that. Again, everywhere they go, everywhere they land, everyone has to get the fuck out of his way. Crazy stuff. Here's a thought for you, Chin Music. Are you ready for this? You want a shot in the dark? Right now, there is a Russian submarine and some Russian naval ships off the coast of my precious state of Florida. Apparently, the navies of the United States government, the U.S. Navy, and Canada, that's right, Canada's Navy, are down there interfering with one another. I believe the Russian military is 65 miles off the coast, so they're in international waters. And it's irritating the Navy, who, of course, is going to be there to monitor and keep an eye on them. But if I was going to do something to Biden and Washington, D.C., I would have a submarine and a couple ships hanging out around Florida, keeping everyone distracted. I find it fascinating, folks. If I was Biden, I wouldn't want to be in Washington, D.C. either, because they have pissed off the Russians. Now, let me tell you what my actual fear level is on a scale of 1 to 10 of Russia doing something like bombing America, whether with a conventional bomb, a tactical nuke, or a full-scale, you're fucked now Tsar bomb. My fear level is 0.2. I do not think that Putin is going to do anything. I think if anything happens, it is a false flag. The United States government does it, and they blame Russia. And I think the odds of even that are extremely low. But that's just a theory of mine. And I'm glad you brought it up, Chin Music, because I thought about it. Why the hell is this idiot leaving again? And can they take advantage of a crisis? Thank you, Rahm Emanuel, communist sack of shit from Chicago, butt buddy of the Obamas. Never let a good crisis go to waste. It's possible. I put the odds very, very low. And if it does happen, I'm not blaming Russia anyway. I'll blame the Pentagon, which is loaded with communist military officers. I'll say that again. The Pentagon is loaded with communist military officers. And that breaks my heart to say. It crushes me to think that our military is loaded with so many socialist and communist officers. Now, I'm going to tell you what Tucker Carlson said as a result of his investigation. He says the FBI questioned, interrogated, and purged Trump agents. That is to say, FBI agents that support Trump, that think Trump is a good guy, that would follow orders from Trump. They got him out of the FBI. They cleansed it from the ranks. Folks, the police state is very real. And if they did that in the FBI, are you doubting that Obama didn't do it to the Pentagon when he was firing general after general after general and promoting all of their fruitcakes into positions of power so that by time Obama was done, you've got officers running around, cutting their dicks off, wearing lipstick, putting on skirts and fishnet stockings, and pretending to be in the military. Pretending to be in the military. No. That's a freaks club with uniforms. Folks, the FBI is weaponized against patriots, against veterans, and against conservatives. That's my opinion. Prove me wrong. I'm on a roll today, oh man. Where are we going next? We got Badass Diving Frog. He said, "What? See where Russia wants to put nukes in Mexico? Personally, I don't see it happening. What do you think?" Well, I know that what Putin is threatening to do is to put nuclear missiles in Cuba, Mexico, and Venezuela, man. He wants to do that. Or does he want to teach the United States government in Washington, D.C. a lesson? A lesson. You and I have talked about this for years. How would the United States feel if China or Russia put missiles, nuclear missiles, in Mexico? That's what NATO and Washington, D.C. and the Pentagon wants to do in Europe. They want to put missiles and NATO bases inside of Ukraine, right on the border of Russia. And Russia's like, no, not going to do it. Not going to allow it. Not going to tolerate that or you killing Russian citizens, ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine. And that's what started this special military operation. Uman says it's a see how you like it move. And that's a great way to put it. How do you like me now, right? So it makes it crystal clear. In the 1960s, early 60s, under the Kennedy administration, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. Russia did send nuclear missiles into Cuba. I believe the U-2 spy planes saw them, filmed them, and America blew its top and said, no, you're not going to have missiles that close to us. Well, Russia now has not just intercontinental ballistic missiles. They have hypersonic missiles, folks, that fly not just 600-700 miles an hour. They fly thousands of miles an hour. You can't see them. You can't target them with an anti-missile system. You can't track them. Faster than a freaking bullet. Imagine those being just over the Mexican border. Now, my thought, if Russia wants to do it, they may. I do not believe that Russia will trust Mexico or Cuba or Venezuela with their conventional hypersonic missiles, nor with their nuclear missiles. And the reason I'll tell you is why. The expense, the strategic value, and the threat or danger that these pose. If these weapons were to fall into the hands of, say, I don't know, the Mexican drug cartels, that could be a very bad thing. Nuclear? Do we need a nuclear drug cartel superpower? No. Do we need a drug cartel superpower with hypersonic missiles? No, we do not. So I do not believe that they will do that. Now, do I believe Russia trusts Belarus with nuclear weapons? They're just to the north of Ukraine, by the way. The answer is, yeah, I believe they trust them. I also believe that Russia, more than likely, has their troops, their military, standing guard over the top of their missiles in Belarus. And if they were to take their missiles, whether hypersonic or nuclear, or, hey, how about a hypersonic nuclear weapon? that the Russian military will keep their people there to guard them as much as launch them if required. Do you think Mexico would launch missiles into the United States if Putin said so? They might, and they may not. They may be like, dude, we don't want to become the 51st state and turn our desert into a glass desert, right? They don't want that in Mexico. Mexico wants to continue to be a socialist, money-grubbing, thieving nation of corruption. Now, there are folks, I love the Mexican people, the ones that are, well, law-abiding. It's a great country, Mexico is. It has incredible resources. It could be a tropical paradise for the world to vacation in, except it's treated like a fucking piggy bank by the Mexican ruling elite. And trust me, that's exactly what the bastards in Washington, D.C. want with our country, America. They want to turn it into their playground that they own, and we're just a bunch of fucking peasants. That's why they fucked up Lahaina, Hawaii. And then they started buying up property the next day. They're like, hey, fire sale, literally, in Hawaii. Let's steal everything we can from the people. Fuck them. I'm sure they would steal Florida from Floridians if they could. The entire redneck Riviera. They would love to kick all the people out of it so that they could own it. Folks, it's incredible. It's crazy. I mean, how many beach houses does Voldemort Zelensky need? The little rotten thief. How many? Crazy business. Enough of my crap. What do you guys want to talk about? Ooh, man, where are we going next? And it's Heidi. And thank you, Heidi, for the compliments I get on a daily basis. Appreciate it. Heidi says, Ukraine has lots of space for immigrants. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. I would hope that everyone knows that reference. Kind of a Monty Python thing. Yeah, Ukraine needs immigrants. Well, they've lost, a couple of thousand soldiers. Maybe we should send just a couple thousand of our choicest, high-quality immigrants over there. Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the Ukraine, right? What's good for the turkeys in D.C.? Remember when they sent busloads of illegals into Martha's Vineyard? Remember that? And the people of Martha's Vineyard, all liberal Democrat millionaires and billionaires, they screamed as a humanitarian crisis and got them out of there. Fucking people. Do you think, folks, what do you think they're going to do to Ukraine? They're going to pillage it. The West has been pillaging it. And they're going to dump all kinds of human debris and trash there. The Ukrainian people are wonderful, a lot of them. The women can be beautiful. The men can be hardworking and industrious. And they would love to bring in all the human debris, these illegals from third world shitholes that have no idea what the language, culture, or laws are of anywhere they go, and just destroy that country. But don't worry. Voldemort Zelensky will have his beach homes down in Italy and Croatia, Greece, France, and Spain. Don't worry, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I wonder if he's got any property here in the great state of Florida. And by the way, I think Nancy Pelosi does. I'm sure she'll be safe and sound if she comes and lives here. She ought to die any day now, by the way. It looked like half her face was falling off as she ran to the news studios in Washington, D.C. to plead her case and claim that when she said she was responsible for telling the National Guard not to come to Washington, D.C., that wasn't her and that's not what she said. What a fucking liar. Can you imagine just lying to the entire planet and actually expecting them to believe you? That's who these fucking clowns are. Unbelievable. Thank you, Heidi, for your great support as always. Woo! I tell you, what a shit show it is. Mr. Uman, there's probably something that's important to you, and this might be it. Name Redacted says, all the stuff you cite is what happens when our side took being the silent majority as some show of strength. The whole class of crimes is a tool of the system, meaning, misdemeanor, felony. Yeah, they're classifications, right? A crime is a crime, process is process, and this is a jam-up tool. Hell, it's worse than that, man. Felony, misdemeanor, they don't even charge people with crimes anymore. You want to rob a store? No problem. You want to commit an act of violence? No problem. You want to trespass and destroy someone's property? No problem. You want to riot? No problem. You want to loot? Fine. Arson? No issue. Steal all you want. Kill, just not too many. 2020, Antifa and BLM killed federal law enforcement officers with guns. They killed them, shot them dead. Oakland. Look it up. A crime is a crime. The classification of crimes has a long history within American and British jurisprudence. It's reflected in our Constitution when discussing impeachment. High crimes and misdemeanors. High crimes and misdemeanors. Another crime that's not listed there is treason. It's a different classification altogether. High crimes and treason. High crime is a felony. Misdemeanor, if it's serious enough and it affects the performance in the office by the president, you're out. Right? Can we go back to the first thing Name Redacted said, Mr. Uman? First thing he wrote, rather. Maybe not. Let's skip it. I'm running out of time. I just saw the clock. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you, Name Redacted. Name Redacted. Always there. The battle on Florida continues. The battle on Florida. A federal judge struck down the ban on medical treatments for tranny children today. Oh, okay. So Florida, a state, says that medical gender-affirming care for children, you cannot ban that, Florida. Interesting. Federal judge. I wonder if that judge was appointed by Biden or Obama or maybe Clinton. How about George W. Bush? Could a Florida or a federal Trump judge have made this ruling? You see, once these judges commit their crimes, crime is a crime. They are owned and controlled as much as any congressperson, senator, or even president. I think they're all on the take. So the battle on and against Florida, the battle on children continues. There are other court cases that serve as precedent for a state having the authority to decide whether or not medical treatment can be provided. Now, I'm going to start with Roe v. Wade overturned. At the federal level, it is no longer federal jurisdiction. It's not. The federal government, through the Supreme Court of the United States, says you states make the determination for the people of the state in which you live as to whether or not and under what conditions and what are the limitations of abortion. Now, if you understand common law, American jurisprudence, the state has the duty to ensure children are protected because they are minors. So if a parent is derelict in that parent's duty, that parent can lose custody of their child to the state. The state assumes care of that child and makes the child a ward of the state. If the state has that authority, why all of a sudden is the state incapable of understanding that children are minors, cannot make medical decisions for themselves or any other decision or sign contracts or own real property as a child. But folks, in other words, there's enough other precedent out there, including the reversal of Roe v. Wade, that this just needs to go to the appellate level or the Supreme Court. You know, lawless judges, in my opinion, need to find a rope. They need to find a rope. There needs to be accountability for judges. I understand that if they don't have to run for election, they are appointed by the executive. State judges are appointed by the state executives. Some judges locally are elected, but at the federal level, the executive, the president, appoints judges, and the Senate confirms them. I think that any judge who demonstrates and shows bad behavior, just as the Constitution points out, they should be removed, impeached, off the bench, done. Anytime a judge like this strikes down a state law where it's obvious a precedent has been set that the states have a right within their borders to determine what happens to minors and how the state will protect them. This just goes to show you we've got a massive battle between states' rights, read the 10th Amendment, and the federal government, which is extremely limited in its power and scope and authority over the people themselves. Say that again. The federal government is extremely limited and has a very narrow scope on what it can say and do to the American people. The federal government was created to deal with other nations at the national level. The states, as independent little countries, are supposed to take care of themselves and their little people. All right, enough of me. We are at, we just got a couple minutes left. Crazy stuff. Badass Diving Frog, John, he says, John, did you see where Fauci stated that the National Institutes of Health is more secretive than the CIA? I did not read or hear Dr. Fauci say those words. I cannot stand that little cretin, that lying sack of dung. He is an awful human being. He tortures animals. He is as far as many people are concerned, a mass murderer for allegedly intentionally turning his cerveza bug loose on the world, which actually, folks, it was the ploy. The real thing, the real deal, the real pandemic, the real killer is the Jim Jones juice. That's what they really wanted. They needed the pandemic to have the excuse to mandate injecting people with Dr. Doom's secret formula that they've been working on for over 25 years. Facts matter. Am I a conspiracy theorist? Well, when I've got nothing better to do and a little time on my hands, you bet. Who doesn't like to come up with some really fun conspiracy theories? Right? Who doesn't enjoy that kind of fun? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. It's not going to stop, not anytime soon. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. I'll be back 0:30 tomorrow. And we'll talk about what has happened between the time I started this show, the time I've ended this show, and the next time you see me. Thank you for your great support. Thank you for your donations at PayPal, CashApp, and Venmo. Thank you for everything you guys do. Semper Fi, God bless America.